Take a look at the two-headed Vic. Time for the sports. Two-headed Vic and the new sports. Bringing you the sports. And we had the girls with the sports bras, but then they didn't want to come because they couldn't find tennis shoes. Hey, yeah. Yeah, they get kind of mad. We asked them where the tennis shoes at, Vic.
I'm glad they get mad, man, because you know what? I'm mad because sports time is around, and I'm going to say this right now because it's an NBA, NHL playoff fever. But, Mario, is the playoff fever extended over to the NHL, or are we just absent because we're not paying attention?
We're not paying attention. We're distracted.
We're distracted?
You saw the show on Monday. You'd be distracted, too.
We're distracted, aren't we?
It's all that booty.
Okay, I'm going to leave that alone.
You know, my age, you just look at it and reminisce. See, at least I had something like that a long time ago.
You know what? This is wrong. All right, you guys, welcome to New Sports, where unfortunately we do not have any women in the audience to actually debate.
Want me to blow one
sports.
up? Go get my date and blow her up?
You could, whatever it does, whatever it do.
Okay, because I got my blow up ones. They clean up real good. That's that, you know.
Okay, I'm gonna leave that alone. This program is going to start off with an issue that I have called the new NBA sports fever playoff NBA style. And when I say that, I only mean this.
Yeah,
all the hype, this a lot. The hype is in, and I think the part we need to pay attention to is what teams, because we know the favorites, Mark. What teams should we pay attention to and fear the most who are not the favorites? And we got the Miamis, we got Boston, you have Oklahoma, who's considered a favorite as well, San Antonio, Lakers. You know, you got the traditional ones, but, you know, there's always the creepers. And you remember the word creeping. Well,
I mean, if you mean just that'll creep enough just to be spoilers.
Yes, I mean, that's enough.
Okay, because that's enough, right? We're not saying they're going to creep all the way to be winning.
No, I didn't say that.
But, you know, it's always someone who is in the first round who moves up who's not supposed to.
Thank you.
Right? The ones who knock off somebody.
Right.
So, you know, they wondering about, you know, teams like Memphis.
And remember, there's always this quote that Mario uses, she'll blow, which harkened out this wonderful image of why she'll blow. So we are paying tribute because of the wah. You know what the wah is, right?
What's the wah?
What's the wah? There you go, Mario. See, you're doing me a favor, man. You're doing me a favor. See, when he says she'll blow.
She'll blow. No, Captain, she'll blow.
She'll blow. We have, courtesy of Spock, he sent this over to us. He says, Captain, I'm detecting large amounts of wah on my scanners.
So, it's Uhuru. That's who it was, Vic. Is Uhuru was giving up all that wah signal.
Okay.
And we have that too.
All right.
A lot of Mondays. That's why y'all need to tune in on Mondays, because there's a lot of wah signal. And now that we're getting toward the end of the busiest sports time,
yes, it's
time to focus on most of you all's your second most important thing.
Right.
Sex.
Thank you.
Now that now that the sports are almost over, you can give your girlfriend, your old lady, your significant some attention.
All right, you guys.
Take them to a movie that you don't want to see.
Right. Here we go.
You know, I'm just saying, it's time, Vic.
Well, let me keep it on point because obviously most people don't know that our sports is always wrapped around sex and sex is wrapped around sports for various reasons. And not necessarily that we are promoting safe sex. We are urging you to have safe sex.
We want you to have safe sex because we don't want to have none.
Right.
That's some boring stuff.
I don't agree with him, so please roll the video back and just, you can skip that part that he's talking about. Okay, here's the question we have right now. What teams or playoff teams should the favorites fear or not look past? And right now, Mario, the difference in the East versus the West is the East has already been set. And it's like the Boston Celtics and New York Knicks. Everybody knows that. The New York Knicks have about 2 or 3 players at most they can go deep with. And after that, they're bench light. They're bench light. So with that in mind,
you're excluding them from the list, I noticed, then, of potential teams.
Right.
See, that's kind of, you already wrote the Knicks off, Vic, in that introduction, that the Knicks are certainly not one of the teams we're expecting to dethrone anybody.
No, because when you get past the players who are your they say, look, when you go regular season, you can get 2 good players to carry your team, maybe a third option. When you get into playoffs, you need a bench. Even if you have 3 strong, Boston showed us that you can have the 3 amigos when they won the championship a few years ago, but they had the bench of life. and that bench carried them through there. Once they broke up some of that bench, they were not the same. And last year was the closest they got with the bench they had through injury. So I think they missed their call. Now, I still think they're going to be there near the end with experience, but I truly believe, I don't know how they're going to handle the pressure because they don't have the fear. I don't think people fear Boston. I think broadcast media want to keep them up there because you need a story of a giant killer.
Well, I don't think that they fear Boston, but here's the thing to me. Okay, it's just like, okay, Vic, like they don't fear the Lakers.
No, you don't.
I think there's not the same fear factor going around this year because you have upstarts who are going to challenge.
Yes.
On the other hand, whether they fear them or not, it's going to come down kind of to me is like who's going to be strong enough to impose their will.
Right.
We know that the Lakers can do that at times, even though, you know, this recent issue with Bynum makes you wonder.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's almost. Can you tell me the team that's almost certain to impose their will? They just don't exist this year.
Right.
Miami, all of them have had moments where they look totally incompetent.
Right.
So I don't know what to say to that. The Lakers too. All of them have had like even recent moments that have looked bad.
Right. And I think the journey that I'm going on with this is that Boston is reminding you how they're patching up their team. And hoping, when you're hoping like this, and no knock on him because I think he's a cataclysmic change in their offense. When you're going like, please, Shaq, come back. If we can get you for 20 games, if we can get you for 14 games, that will do so much for us because we need the bench. He's a bench player. He's not a starter. Now, they may put him in there now as a starter because they don't have Perkins any longer, but that's what you call patchwork.
Good, but that's what they call patchwork, but it's good patchwork. Makes sense to me, especially when you have Big Baby.
Right.
Hey, and isn't that what the Lakers are doing right now?
Yes.
Hasn't been complicated? I've been saying all along, and I like Bynum.
Right.
I root for this young man so much.
Yeah, I know you do.
And you know, I'm not a Laker fan.
Right.
But I really root for this young man because I really like him.
Yeah.
And so it breaks your heart to see any kind of an issue. But isn't that like what the Lakers are doing with Bynum? If we could just get a few games out of you,
we'll be okay.
We'll be okay.
Well, actually, they wanted more out of him because he was starting, so they were going to have him in a fully loaded position. But let's just say this. Okay, we all are dancing around, and all these teams have had their moments. You had Chicago. Miami started off the year as just the unanimous favorites in such a way because of what they thought they were going to bring. Still, they need a bench, and they made up their bench by playing defense.
Some people's favorite. I didn't say that I said it's very hard to me to get a team to come together and build them in that 1 year. I don't care any individuals that come together for the first time and in that year win a championship. That's very hard to do.
Yeah, and to accomplish it with all the mechanizations that go along with it. Miami is now the 2 seed. No one saw Chicago. If Chicago didn't spring up, Miami would be your number 1 team in the East. So they would have accomplished it. They just didn't see Chicago coming the way they did.
No, but even though it looked interesting, though, you know, it was just the lack of an overwhelming big man. Even though you like Noah, you know what I'm saying,
right?
And then Boozer, it was just a lack of that true, overwhelming center presence.
Yep.
Which they still don't have really, but it's still a good, solid center presence.
Would you have said at the beginning of the year that the Chicago Bulls were going to be winning 62 or 63 games?
No.
Okay, that's what got me, is that they're right now 1 game
But I didn't know what to say because you know what? You and I both said this was a year where age was going to show on a bunch of teams. We said that.
Right.
And how they responded, whether or not you say San Antonio responded well,
right.
We both predicted that, and we're still saying that.
Right.
Check it out. Isn't it winding into the playoffs that everybody's resting people, doing all this stuff? This has a lot to do with age, and not always age, but age and injury.
Right. I agree.
And so much of the playoff, the whole shape of that is subject to instant change based on injury, because Bynum getting hurt last night, does that not affect everything?
Of course they do. And the part that I like about this is that if you had the choice as a coach, they say, what would you rather take? Would you rather sit back and have a healthy team, probably not as deep a bench, or you had a great bench but injuries on your starting or somewhere in your starting 5? They'll take healthy team all day long.
Well, yeah, but even though this comes out in every sport, I think about football where you're hitting.
Right.
Same issue comes out about holding back players.
Right.
It's just that, to me, I just don't know like I said, I just don't know how I can't see a way of backing off.
Right.
Even though, again, when people, but on the other hand, when people are already hurting,
right,
then I don't see. It's just that I'm not looking at it the same. It's easy to say, "Hey, you're hurting. Take this game and just rest."
Right.
I don't view that as the same way. Even so, we'll see.
Right.
We'll see, Vic. But it's certainly it's changing.
It is. Which now brings me to the actual question: who should the favorites most fear? And even though New York is not in the favorites, they're in the list of who.
You just dissed them. They're not in the list because you just explained why they're not.
No. If you look at who should the favorites most fear, they're in the second group. They're not in the first group.
Even though you already brushed them off.
I didn't brush them off.
In the conversation,
I just said,
you basically explained why no one's afraid.
I did not brush them off. I said, here's the group. You can choose them.
The Celtics seem like they can. The Knicks don't match up as well against some teams as others for some reason. They play Orlando well, right?
Right. And look what they did.
Don't play the Celtics.
They had a 7-game winning streak until what team came in and played them last night? Chicago. And Chicago just slammed them.
Right.
See, so the hard part, they're saying that, and that was without Amari Stoudemire, so I'm not worried about that. He's going to come back. And remember, they could have brought him back last night. They said health first before trying to get a position in the field. So I'm going to say this.
Because it's winding down.
Right. It is not. This is the last day.
The last day.
This is the last day. So
it's
here
like
it is.
That last day of work, right?
Yeah, it's more than that.
What is how productive are you on the last day of work?
Right.
Or it's like the last day of school. You know you're not going to do a damn thing. You even just want to go.
If you're taking your Vegas money and you're saying, I'm going to base my bet on how they played the last 2 or 3 games of the regular season, you got problems. Don't go to Vegas.
No.
So let's say this. Here's the teams that we have that we want to list and say, who are the ones that may be ones you don't want to play? I know everybody breaks down competition with, well, it's how you do the matchups, and it's true. But if you had the overall, pick 2 teams from this group, and I'll say the names first, and then we can go from there. You tell me which two teams you think out of this group of 7 you should fear. We got Philadelphia 76ers, Orlando Magic, New York Knicks, Dallas Mavericks, Memphis Grizzlies, Portland Trail Blazers, and Denver Nuggets. Pick 2 teams you think. It doesn't matter if they're East or West.
Denver Nuggets and the Portland Trail Blazers.
Oh, you're doing good, man.
I think Denver Nuggets, first of all, okay, it's just some of them you had a good season.
Right.
Better than we ever expected from you.
Right.
But there's no way you could do anything else. Okay. But so that's the way they're coming into the playoffs. You go, hey, you guys did really a wonderful job with everything. Hey, much respect to how you did the effort.
Right.
How you played over the top.
Yep.
Didn't expect you could do that, but no one's going to take you seriously in the playoffs.
Right.
And the Denver Nuggets, that specifically looks like them. But I think Portland is close in the same kind of a story.
Yeah.
They've got good squads, and let's see what happens when they elevate. On the other hand, Vic, that makes me. This is a year where I'm way more interested in those games.
So you're looking forward to this a little bit more, right?
Yeah, for some of these because I know for Denver, at least from the attitude they've shown so far, they feel like they got nothing to lose.
Right.
They're going to bring it. They're going to bring it. They're going to like, hey, we're not supposed to do nothing.
Right.
So we're going to be hell on wheels.
Right.
Hell on. That's the attitude I would be having. I said, I have nothing to lose. I'm going to play with wild abandon.
Yeah. I think the teams that creep up are the teams that are going to make the first impression, which is the matchups in the first series. It's San Antonio. If you assume San Antonio Lakers were going to be the ones that's going to, of course, battle for the final in the West, that's cool.